Almost 50 years before the mechanical recording of the human voice, the English journalist Henry Mayhew began to compile a natural history of London's labouring poor. He roamed the streets of mid-19th century London, armed with nothing more than patience, shorthand, and what seems to have been a remarkable ear for the peculiarities of idiomatic English. He recorded the witness of several thousand men and women who plied their meagre and uncertain trades in the Victorian metropolis. Mayhew hoped to extract some large-scale scientific generalization from the inquiry, but in the event he was overwhelmed by the sheer quantity and richness of his material, so that by his own standards the enterprise was a failure. But Mayhew's failure turns out to have been our good fortune, because of the unprecedented archive of personal experience which he bequeathed. Without the benefit of a tape recorder, we can virtually hear the anonymous inhabitants of a world that we have now lost. One of Mayhew's longest and most detailed interviews was with Jack Black, one of the few people to be identified by name. Black called himself the Queen's rat catcher. For providing vivid, sustained, and often harrowing detail in a tone of total matter-of-factness, he has no equal in the 2 million or so words of Mayhew's book.
Well, I should think I've been a rat in a most for 35 years. Indeed, I may say from my childhood, for I've kept at it almost all my life. I've been dead near 3 times from bites as near as a toucher. I once had the teeth of a rat break in my fingers, which was dreadful bad and swollen and putrefied. I had to have the broken bits pulled out with tweezers. Now, the worst bite I ever had was at the Manor House Haunty, kept by Mr. Burnell. I was there one day and he had some rats get loose and he asked me to catch them for they was wanted for a match that was on that afternoon. Well, I picked up a lot. Indeed, I had one in each hand and another again my knee, and I came on a sheaf of straw, which I turned over and there was a rat there. Well, I couldn't lay hold of him because my hands was full, and as I stooped down, he ran up the sleeve of my coat and bit me on the muscle of the arm. I shall never forget it. It turned me all of a sudden and made me feel numb. In less than half an hour, I was took so bad I was obliged to be sent home to get someone to drive my cart for me. It was terrible to see the blood that came from me. I bled awful. Burnell, seeing me so bad, said, "Hey, Jack, take some brandy. You look so awful bad." The arm swollen. It must have weighed 1.5 tons, so I could hardly lift it. And it was so painful, I couldn't bear my wife to ferment it. I was kept in bed for 2 months because of that bite of Burnell's. I was weak, I couldn't stand, dreadful feverish, all wolf-like. And I knew I was going to die, because I remember the doctor coming in and opening my eyes to see if I was still alive. The first rats I caught was when I was 9 years of age. I catch them at Mr. Strickland's, a large cowkeeper in Little Albany Street, Regent's Park. In those days, there was all fields and meadows in them parts, and I recollect there was a big orchard on one side of the meadow. I was only doing for a game, and there was lots of ladies and gents looking on and wondering at seeing me taking these rats from under a heap of old bricks and wood when they had collected themselves. I had a little dog, a little redden it was, and I wanted the rats for to test my dog with. I'd been a lad what was fond of the sport. But when I was about 15, sir, I turned to bird fancying. I was very fond of the sombre linnet. I was very successful in raising them and sold them for a deal of money. I've got a strain of them by me now. And I rizzed them from some I purchased from a person in the coal yard, Drury Lane. I'll give him £2 for the periwinkle strain. But then afterwards I heard of a person with, as I thought, a better strain, Lawson of Holloway. And I went and gave him 30 shillings for a bird. I then rizzed them. I used to go up and catch the nestlings off the common and rizz them under the old train birds. The linnet's a beautiful song, sir. There are 24 changes in a linnet song. They sing toys, as we call them. That is, they make sounds which we distinguish in the fancy as tolic, eka, eka, quaker, leweets, eka, eka, single eka, eka, quaker wheats, or eek, eek, quaker chows, eager piper chowl, laugh, eager poi chows, rattle, pipe, fear, pew, and poison. Now, I know this seems Greek to you, sir, but it's the terms we use in the fancy. The term we use for fear is a sound like fear, as if they was frightened. Laugh is a kind of shake, nearly the same as a rattle. When I found I was master of the birds, I then turned to my rat business again. I had a little rat dog, a small black tan terrier by the name of Billy, and he was the greatest stock dog in London of that day. He is the father of the greatest portion of small black tan terriers in London now, which Mr. Isaac, the bird fancier in Princess Street, purchased one of the strain for £6 or £7, which Jimmy Massey afterwards purchased one of the strain for a monkey, a bottle of wine and £3, and that was the rummest bargain I've ever made. One of the strain of this little black tan dog would draw a badger 12 or 14 pounds to his £6, which is done for a wager, because it was thought the badger had had his teeth drawn, but he hadn't, which was proved by his biting Mr. Powder Birmingham, for he took a piece clean out of his trousers, which was pretty good proof, and astonished them all in the room. It's 15 years since I first worked for government. I found that the parks was much infested with rats, which had undermined the bridges and gnawed the drains. So I made application to Mr. Wesley, the superintendent of the park, and he spoke of it, and it was wrote to me that I was to fulfil the situation and that I was to have £6 a year. But after that, it was altered, when I was to have so much a head, which was threepence. After that, Newton, who was a warmint destroyer to Her Majesty, dying, I wrote to the Board of Ordnance when they appointed me to each of the stations in London. That was to the Regency Park Barracks, to the Knightsbridge and Portland Barracks, and to all the other barracks in the metropolis. I've got the letter by me now, in which they says they is proud to appoint me. One night in August, the night of a very heavy storm, which maybe you may remember, sir, I was sent for by a medical gent as lived opposite the Load of Hay, Hampstead, whose 2 children had been attacked by rats while they were sleeping in their little cots. I traced the blood which had left lines from their tails through the openings in the lath and plaster, which I followed to where my ferrets come out of. They must have come up from the bottom of the house to the attics. The rats gnawed the hands and feet of the little children. The lady, hearing them crying, got up out of her bed and called to the servant to know what the child was making such a noise for, when they struck a light. And then they see the rats running away to the holes. The little nightgowns was kivered with blood, as if their throats had been cut. I asked the lady to give us one of the gowns to keep as a curiosity, for I considered it a phenomenon, and she gave it to me. But I was never so vexed in all my life as I was told the next day that a maid had washed it. I went down the next morning and exterminated them rats. I found they was of the species of a rat which we term the blood rat. A dreadful, spiteful fella, a snake-headed rat, and infests the dwellings. There may have been a dozen or so rats altogether. Oh, it was so long ago I almost forgot how many I took from that house. The gent behaved uncommon handsome and said to me, "Mr. Black, I can never pay you for this." And ever afterwards, whenever I used to go by that there house, the little dears, when they see me, they used to call out to their ma, "Oh, here's Mr. Ratty, ma." They were very pretty little fine children, uncommon handsome to be sure.
Timewatch returns to BBC Two in 2 weeks. Next tonight, it's The Money Programme.